every child is unique, but they can be confident, they can be competent. So that means they cannot achieve ego, but they will achieve it at a different pace. But will they get to the finish line? They will get there.
Welcome to another episode of Conversations with AMA. My name is Anuoluwapo Michael-Ayeni. I'm happy to be here with you as we begin on the series, The Principles of EYFS, which are frameworks that guide high-quality learning and development in the early years classroom. Now, in these 6-episode series, we will have different educators come on. They will be sharing practical tips to infusing this in our classroom, ensuring that our learners get the very best from us in all areas. On today's episode, we will be having an amazing early childhood educator who is also a play enthusiast. She will be sharing with us on the unique child, which is the very first principle of EYFS. Come along with me as I make welcome Miss Tonia Omolopo. So welcome, Miss Tonia. So good to have you here.
Thank you very much. So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So before we get started, I know Miss Tonia. I know we see you online, but let's get to know Miss Tonia just a little bit, a bit of an introduction before we get started.
Oh my God. Okay. So my name is Tonia Omolopo, right? I'm an early years educator. Well, they said I stopped saying educator, but I'm an early years educator, play-based learning enthusiast, right? And the name is Tonia came from my pupils, so it just stuck. I thought, okay, why not just go with it? All right.
I love that.
Basically, that's it.
I love that. Okay, so today we're talking about the unique child. I know I see your post on Instagram. I know that you're all about the children. The children come first before the parents, before the school. It is always the children first. So why is it, well, what does the unique child mean to you as an early years educator? What does the unique child mean to you?
Okay, so like the EYFS, the unique child is one of the principles of the early years foundation stage framework, right? And it just tells us that every child that comes into your class, no two children are the same. That's the first thing that you should know. So when you have that at the back of your mind, you know that no two children will learn the same way, even though they are all in your classroom. No two children are the same. They will not all learn the same. They are all competent and they can be competent. You're right. No two children can learn the same way, but they can be competent. They can grow to be confident. They can grow in their own uniqueness, in what makes them different. So it just makes you appreciate people's difference. So maybe child A cannot sing, child B can sing. Every child is unique. It doesn't really matter. Recently I was telling a parent who was talking to me about the inter-house sports that they did in the school. Our son is not really athletic, and I just told her, see, a win is a win. The boy, I think he came third or something. And I said, do you realize that your son is not even athletic? But it's okay for him to, experience that. But he is not athletic. Take it and you get no peace. So, but you know his strengths. He's much more better with public speaking. And there's another child who does not like public speaking, who might be shy, who might be very introverted, but is very athletic. They are both in the same class. They are both unique, but we should not have the same expectations of both of them. So that's what I believe a unique child is. Every child is special. Every child is unique, but they can grow to be confident. They can all attain their goals. They might not be at the same time. It might not be at the same pace, but then they will get there. So our job is, let's appreciate that uniqueness and work with their uniqueness to bring out the best in them.
Every child, fantastic.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I love that fact, and I know that it can be a bit challenging for some educators because they don't have this kind of knowledge, and I'm glad that we're getting to share this with them now. But I'm looking at the classroom, I'm looking at the mainstream classroom, which is what we have in most of our schools. And then there is that teacher who has like 25 children or 30 children. Now, how can this teacher support the individual or help this individual children to achieve their own best? How can they help to ensure that every child's individuality comes out in the learning and development journey?
Okay, so ideally, one of the factors of having an early years classroom, one of the things to consider should be staff to child ratio, right? Staff to child, that one, ideally, yes. So because we are not robots, we are humans. We can only but do so much. We are not robots. So every school should take that into consideration. You can't expect the most from someone who has, if I have 10 children in my class, I might end up being more productive than somebody who has 20 in their class, and it's just them. So child to children, teacher to other children ratio should be the one thing that should be looked into. I have an issue with that. Now, if you have, how I put it, that class size, and let's assume you have an assistant and all of that. One thing I always tell teachers, even from the beginning, is autonomy in the classroom is a very big deal for me personally. But that's one place that we tend to struggle with. And I'll give an example. We always want to already do stuff for children. So by the time they get to a particular age, you find out that you're burnt out because you are just doing everything for them. Now, from the moment a 2-year-old steps into your classroom, they begin to learn independence first and foremost. When you get children to be independent, it is easier for you to plan for them. It is easier for you to step back a bit. It makes planning easier, and I'm speaking from experience. The last class I taught was, so before I started teaching the 4 to 5 year olds, I used to teach the 2 to 3 year olds. And yeah, so that's why I said teacher to children ratio, a big deal. We had that. In fact, that was a battle that I had to fight and win with evidence, I won that battle, and then we started working on the independence for the children. Now, in their uniqueness. So it was easier to plan different activities for different children because now they are independent. You can easily say some things and they will do it. By the end of the session, the children were already taking charge of their learning without me doing so much. I don't know if that makes any sense. Number one, so like I said, the first thing I said was adult to children ratio, right? Then 2, autonomy in the classroom. Nigerian teachers don't like giving children autonomy. We just like ordering them around. And then you start to struggle. You want to go outside. You're in a hurry to go outside. The child wants to, you're saying, okay, everybody put on your shoes. This child is taking his time, put on his shoes. You're already upset. You're already struggling with it. You're not even giving that child. Do you understand? But it's okay. And that's another thing. It's okay. Because that child is trying to hit a milestone. Maybe that child is a clumsy child. It is okay. We would have clumsy people. Maybe that child doesn't have strong fine motor skills yet. Every moment is teachable. So I think another thing is the struggle is we always want to plan. We always want to make sure it's one teacher-directed activity that we are doing. We forget that as long as anywhere children are, anywhere human beings are, learning takes place there. We are sitting here together, learning is going on. We go and have conversations with people. Some form of learning is going on because we are passing on information. I'm saying something, you're saying something to me. Somehow one of us is learning from one another. It's the same thing in your classroom. Learning, yes, the moment you stop boxing your learning, you stop putting learning in a box, it is easier for you to plan. You would even find out that you're not even doing so much planning, but learning is going on because you're letting the children take charge of their learning. You are hitting the targets as you go, as you're walking along your corridor, learning is taking place in your conversations that you're having. As you are climbing up the stairs, learning is taking place. You're discussing with the child. Maybe you've noticed that, oh, this child's speech is not so, the vocabulary is not so rich. Okay, what can we do? As you are outside on the playground, you're going close to the child. You're saying some things. You're deepening your conversations. You're pulling words out of the child. Learning is taking place. Stop stop putting learning in a box. It's not that, learning is not that activity you do. It's not in the painting. It's not necessarily in the painting. It's not necessarily in the circle time that's sitting down. It can happen anywhere, at any time. So the first one, adult to children ratio. 2, autonomy in the classroom. Let children be independent. Give time for it. And that was what led me into the fact that you should not put learning into a box. When you stop doing that, it's easier for you to plan. Even at some point, you'll find out that you would have even, how will I put it? The planning would have even taken place without you doing so much, because you'd have set up your class in such a way that learning is going on. It's how will I put it? It's addressing the needs of each child in your classroom.
Right.
Basically.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm loving this already. I feel like in a very short time, you've said so much already. That is awesome. So I'm looking at everything you have said, and I think the challenge is the fact that we have teachers and school leaders now who are always trying to work with a particular time frame. So everyone is trying to ensure that this lesson is only 30 minutes. So we're trying to make sure that it has to be done within this time. It has to be done. So we now have teachers who are now stepping in to say, let me do it for this child, as opposed to giving them that independence, which would also inform their learning. So I think there is a lot that school leaders, teachers have to take away from this. So my next question is, I'm looking at a teacher in the classroom now who wants to do his or her best to support the children. Now, how do you think they should be able to identify the unique needs of their learners? How do you think they can look out for the unique needs of the individual learners in the classroom?
Okay, so I would say from the moment each child or any child walks into your classroom, that's not the time to start rushing. That's not the time for paperwork or academic learning. So you start slow to go fast. Start slow to go fast. Your first week of school, even if it's the beginning of third term, even if, I've known them all, I've known them from first term, second term, the first week of school, focus on connecting with your pupils by starting slow. Start with conversations. Start with that's why I'm a play advocate, because that's how I get to know my children. Yeah, that's how I get to know them. So the first thing I do is let them lose in the classroom. So I get to see what each child keeps in a week. I can tell what a child likes, because they would always gravitate towards that thing that draws their attention the most. They would always gravitate towards it. I can tell the child who likes music because there's music playing in the class, and you are seeing there's a particular child I had that when she's coloring, she's humming, she's singing. Anything she does, she's singing. You can tell she's always going to the role play area. She always wants to paint anything that has to do with art. She's always wanting to make things from Play-Doh. Now I can tell in a week, I can tell that child is artistic. When we go out to play, she's always picking leaves. I can tell this child is a nature lover. So the child might gravitate towards water play, any sensory play that involves nature, right? I can tell because I did not start with academics. You start slow. Your classroom routines, your what did you eat this morning? What did you do at home? What TV programs do you like watching? You can tell where their head is at just by doing all of that. Without how will I put it, necessarily even doing so much. Just let them explore. Give them room to explore. Your classroom is a discovery hub. Your classroom is an exploratory hub. It's not for table. One thing I hate, once I enter an early years class and I see lots of tables and chairs, I'm like, what's going on here? This is not early years. Early years is for exploring. So your classroom is for exploring. Let them loose. Let them play with the toys. Just see, you can tell a very neat child from the way they would order numbers. You can tell from the way they would arrange the toys. There are a lot of children that are like that. So you're playing with them and you are seeing them arranging. You can see them putting some things together. They are very, very detailed. When you give them stuff to color, so there was something I did in my class one day. We wanted to do paper mache. So I went to get old magazines and I said, okay, you know what? Let's just infuse some scissor skills, And I gave them scissors. There was this particular girl who took her time and she was cutting the pictures of people from the magazines, and she was following, as in she was following the outline neatly. I know if this girl should paint
That's
for
a
you,
great skill.
if she should paint for you, as in that was the day I knew that this child was so artistic, and this was not regular classroom activities. But then I realized if I want to get across to this child, I will get in through art. Art is one way to get her. So anything that had to do with, so whenever we want to do maths, whenever we are doing role play and we take it outside, maybe she's cooking, I will go close to her. I'm like, oh, how many apples did you put in your pot? I've started infusing our maths into our learning because that was the only way. That was the only way to get across her. I had one that loved cubes. He loved building. Anything engineering, just give it to him. Give him blocks. Give him sticks. Give him anything that has to do with connecting stuff, connecting schema. That was his thing. Now, whenever I want to get across to him, all I needed to do was say, oh, how many cubes can make 5? Now, remember, they are all in the same class. There's one that's the same room. This one will need, maybe once I put pots, she's rushing there. Anything I want, as in, you would see her. Well, there is one who will try with building stuff. Oh, I want you to build me a tower. What if it's a tower of 5? What if it's a city? Why not build me a city of 2s? Or can you build me a city of 4s? 2 different methods, the same goal.
Numbers in different ways. That's it.
The same goal, different methods. There's another, I like Play-Doh. Okay, can you bake me a cake? Can you put 5 candles on the cake? Can you put 6? Can you put 7? Can you make them different colors? Same goal, different tasks. But it's catering to different, unique learners because I know this one is artistic. This one is not. Then I know the ones that like book. There are those children that actually love to work in their book. They love to work in their workbooks. Same goal, different methods. Because they are different personalities, different individuals. Same thing with reading. You start to see those children that gravitate towards your reading corner. So you know that, this one's book, they are natural readers. They will not stress you as much as the ones that they don't even want. Once you just open the book, like, please just close it.
They're turning around like, I'm not ready.
Yeah, so exactly. So already while planning, you already know that I need to do extra to get this particular child interested in this reading activity. I need to do extra to get this particular, because I've noticed there are a lot of children, most children who are math inclined, some of them don't like reading. They don't like it. It's always an issue getting them. Some I've had that experience. So I know that, okay, so this first week of school now, I have used it to study this student. This child, okay, in my planning, I'll now look for more. What can I use to, encourage this particular one to do this thing? What activity can I infuse to make this thing fun? Okay, what do I do? Now, sometimes the activities, they do not necessarily have to be within your learning time. There should be extended activities in the sense that you should give free time. I always give free time on your timetable. There should be like an extra 10 minutes before you transition into the next. The truth is, whenever I see teachers, whenever I hear teachers complain about, I only had how many minutes to teach a lesson, I always say something. There's teaching and there's learning. There is teaching that I taught a topic, but the learning takes place. There's you talking, you can tick your box and say, I taught them number 1. Did the child really learn about number 1? There's identify. Learning is a whole lot. Learning is being able to know. There's the knowledge. there's the ability to use that. And I always use the Bible as a reference. There's knowledge and understanding.
Right.
And then applying that knowledge, like the book of Proverbs said. So there's the knowledge. There's understanding that knowledge that I have received. And then there is me now applying that knowledge. So that's why I always say there's teaching and there's learning. Learning is that knowledge, understanding, and applying the knowledge. So there's the teaching. Now, when you want to teach, that's when you're always like, hey, I have to meet up at this particular time. Extend, give room. Yes, the timetable is, I'm not saying you should be a rebel, but it's one thing that worked for me. The timetable is the timetable, but I know the children, but I know those that I have in my class, that's just the truth.
I know what they need.
Yes. So I make use of every time that I have. The mornings before we start, those that just come in early, there is something for us to do. Before they go home, there's something I always fit in, those little pockets of time, little pockets of free time. You work in a traditional school setting, your playtime, make it rich, right? Yeah. I always set up, so I usually do this thing whenever we have break time. I always set up some things outside because some children really will know. Because when I was little, when my school opened the library, I didn't like going outside to play. I stopped loving outdoor play. I just wanted to go into the library.
You wanted to play in the library. Nice.
So what I now did for my pupils was I now had an outdoor reading space because of that experience I had. So I had an outdoor, So you can, if you don't want to jump on the trampoline, you can as well come sit down here, play with some numbers. If you want, play with some letters, and I'll just be there. So those little pockets of time, make use of it. Yes, make it rich. Make it rich. Start slow to go fast. If you start slow, you would realize that you would not struggle with your teaching, with your learning. You would not even struggle with even if the timetable is there, you are rest assured that week, your pupils will fall in line. Everything will fall in line. Why? You've started slow. You know them. So your planning is easier. You've observed. Your planning becomes easier. So when you're even teaching, you are sure that learning is going to take place because you put your children into consideration. It wasn't really about you while planning.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. I love everything I have heard. Start slow to go fast. Focus on connecting with your learners. Your classroom is a discovery hub. And one major thing that I'm holding on to is planning. I think that's one thing we don't pay so much attention to, because when you understand your your learners, definitely informs your planning for them. You're making sure that every child is considered while you're at. That is very important as well. And I love the fact that you're always giving free time before transitioning into other activities, because you also help the children to feel a bit more settled. That is fantastic. So you've mentioned a bit of what I will ask next, but I will still go on into it because now I want to know. Now, do you think that educators can effectively support children with diverse abilities? Now, you've talked about the child who loves cubes. You've talked about the child who loves art. Now, in some classrooms, we'll have children who also love swimming, who also love football, different things that the children love. Now, how can we as educators effectively support these different interests, different learning styles and abilities?
Okay, so firstly, with the right support, yes. And when I mean the right support, I also mean in training, in collaborating, cannot bat it alone. That's the thing. If there's one thing with peace of mind is that I know, in fact, when I'm planning my lessons, I'm already thinking of one or two people that I'm going to draw into my classroom. I'm not doing it alone. So you have pupils who love football. You have pupils plan for it. Infuse it in your daily. Let it. So that's the thing, right? If you don't see it as a burden, it will come easier. See yourself as the old woman who lived in a shoe that had so many children.
I didn't know what
just see
to
yourself
do.
as that. Yeah, so that's what I do. But this time around, I know what to do. I see myself as an old woman. So I always like giving examples. To make it easy for me. I always Omolopo, I depend solely on support, right? And I always get it. Now, not just support from the school, because sometimes the school might be, let's say, cash-strapped. Let me use that word, for lack of a better word, to give me the right support that I want. But then I also get support from my online community as well, on ideas on things to do. Another thing I don't joke with, you see, parent-teacher collaboration. Oh my goodness, I do not joke with it. Teachers don't joke with it. There was a time I always like sharing my experiences because it makes it easier for people to connect. There was a time I had this theme that we were given, transportation. And I was just thinking to myself, if I want this thing to really, really come alive, right? What if I had a garage? Right? And that was what I said. What if I had a garage? Now, when I had that in mind, a very long time ago, I had somebody give me this. It's like a car, but it really doesn't move. No, like a bicycle, but it really does not move. So I got cartons. I created the mini garage and then I put that bicycle there. And then one day I was just chatting with a parent and I was like, we are doing this theme and then we wanted this for show and tell. But then I now had another idea. Okay, what if we leave their car, as in whatever they bring for show and tell in school? So that was when I was talking to a parent and she was like, Miss Tonia, we have big car at home. Because I was thinking small, And she just goes, we have big car at home and we are not even like using it for anything. I was like, I would really, really appreciate it if you could get it. That day, the day she was bringing the car, one of our other friends was like, where are you taking your daughter's car? She told her, that one to say, we have bicycle at home.
Oh,
They
wow.
brought it. We set up the garage outside the class. So when they brought, a parent saw her carrying out the cart, true story, from her car and trying to bring it inside. She was like, Miss Tonia, so you people need this and you did not tell me. This woman went to go and bring, I have that video. She brought 2 big cars. I don't know how they carried it. She went back home, came back again with the second one. When other parents were saying that, they now started saying, if you need, we have. They were bringing. I had to beg them that we don't need anymore. Please, thank you. Like, we don't need the ones that could not bring big ones. They brought the small ones that they had. So we now set up big and small inside we had a mini one in the classroom. We had one outside. Just because I leveraged on my parent-teacher collaboration to offer my children to make learning, to enrich my children's learning. Don't go at it alone. You cannot. If the school cannot, the people around you can. There was another time, it was still the same transportation. I said, okay, I really want my children to experience something different. They go in their cars every time. How about we bring an auto rickshaw to school? So I went to the junction of my school, got a particular keke guy, and I begged him. I said, you should please you should wash it before coming. He saw the school, so he had washed it before coming. He was more excited than me that even invited him because he was excited seeing the children. And what we did, we just drove around the school. Yeah, we just drove around the school compound. Did the children experience it? Yes. Did they have fun? Yes. Because definitely they've never entered it before. Even if they had, this was different, There was a time I actually I collaborated with a fire station company. This was not excursion now. This was fire station. Like, so we went there. You can do all these things. You can collaborate with. So learning again is not just the teacher. Learning, we are all teachers. The environment is the teacher. There's this the Reggio Emilia talks about the environment being the teacher, not just the teacher and the school. The environment itself, and it's outside the four walls of the school. Yes, leverage. you know, you can leverage with chefs to come into your classroom, a doctor, a lawyer. I know we do it as excursion, but no, I always say no, that excursion it should be a constant, it should be things that occur. You have parents in your classrooms who know somebody that knows somebody. You have parents even who can do it. We have daddies who come to dress up. Leverage on the human resource that you have. Leverage on your environment as the teacher. Don't go at it alone. You do not know everything. Lastly, leverage on technology to help you. I was with a child today and we were taking a stroll and we were seeing different trees and he was asking me their names. Guess what I did? I opened my Google Lens. Thank God for Google Lens. And I just took a
Right.
picture.
And then
When,
it just
yeah, and he just brought out the
instantly.
name and I said, oh, this is the name of this particular tree. There was one time in my classroom, so I have two phones, right? The second phone serves us as our, how I put it, encyclopedia. So once I just say, okay, Google, maybe a child is asking, what's this? They know, they go to so they go pick the phone. That's what the phone is for. So in class, I don't really use my phone. So I use that phone. That's what the children know. Oh, Miss Tonia, what's this? I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe during circle time, I'm like, okay, Google, what's this? And Google tells us the answer. It will say whatever it is.
And everybody can
Leverage on
hear it.
technology, yeah. And you hear the children, oh, I have Siri at home. I have, what's the name of this Alexa? Close your eyes and see. If you're passionate about this thing, it will come easy for you. If you're passionate about it, it will really come easy for you. There's no phone that cannot have Google Assistant nowadays. Just do it. And yeah, in fact, they will come into my classroom. You would see my pupil with my phone. Literally, of course, I would teach them how to, they've learned how to handle the phone. We had to get to that point that was comfortable with them. But they were all they needed to, yeah, Miss Tonia, can we ask Google? And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, Google. This. Leverage on technology. Technology is here to stay. Don't try to know everything. Don't try to be everything. No, you're not. You're human too. I always tell my pupils, we're all learning together. You're a co-learner. I know we are teachers, but we are co-learners in our classroom. Leverage on your human resource. Leverage on technology.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I think about two scenarios in my head right now, but let me
Okay.
start with the first one. So the first scenario is we have a teacher who understands all of these that you have shared, or who has come to understand that, okay, the children come first, and I need to see how I can leverage on technology, I need to see how I can appropriately plan for them. But then the challenge is we have parents who are all about academics, and they're asking questions as to, well, what do you come to school to do? I only hear my child say, I came to play. Are you not writing numbers? When will this child get to 500? Or when will this child get to
Okay.
1,000? Or they're telling you, my child
Okay.
who attends another, or my cousin or my neighbor who attends another school, they already know the 36 states and capital. When are they going to do that? Now, how can teachers help parents to understand that? Just help them to understand what the priority is in the early years.
Okay, so the first thing I would say is you as a teacher, you first have to understand what the priority is yourself. You first have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. You can't tell a parent because from what you said, right? I've had such experiences, but you know what usually messes everything up? The fact that the teachers cannot really defend what they are saying.
Right.
I'll give an yeah, they can't really defend what they're saying. So there's knowledge. Like I said, there's knowledge, there's understanding, and there's application of the knowledge. Firstly, when you're coming into my class, when you're coming into my class, I would always tell you. So there's one thing I don't do, in as much as I'm a play advocate, right? I always also advocate for challenging children. There was a particular child that was actually a high flyer. He was already doing 1 to 500 when others were still struggling with 1 to 100. I didn't leave him. I didn't, how will I put it? I didn't limit him. We continued. So what I was not doing was getting him to apply that knowledge of numbers. Not that your 1 to 500 that you know. Okay, let's apply it into years, building in tens, building in, okay, can you skip count up to 500? Can you not? I did not limit him. The same child too was very vast with reading. I did not limit him. So I did not limit him to, okay, we are blending 3-letter words. I now started giving him all those, all those our phonics, you are our phonics guru. The phonics rules, when Y says I and when it says E. There's that not limiting. So I would also first say that teachers don't limit, because you don't do this particular thing. It's also part of the uniqueness of your pupils. If a child can do 1 to 100, let them do it. If they can, if it's not like it's a struggle, if they are willing, let them do it. If they are open to it, if you see that, oh, and the child is interested, please let them do it. Children who are high flyers are also as unique as those who are not high flyers. So you have to be able to cater to everybody. Now that's one. Now with parents, from the first day you are entering my classroom, I am telling you, these are the things that we are doing. And I'm giving you reasons why. We're running a holistic curriculum. We're not, in as much as academics is good, but academics is just by the way of all the things that your child needs to learn. The reason why we are not writing in this class is because we want to strengthen their fine motor skills. Because when they move to that class, they are going to be writing. But by the time I have strengthened their fine motor skill, the next teacher is not going to be struggling with writing. Oh, write now. And the child is saying, my hand is tired. My finger is paining.
There's
Yeah.
that foundation.
Yeah. So you give them examples that we are laying a solid foundation so that when that your child starts to do that thing, I had a parent. I had a parent whose daughter was one of the babies of the class. As I when that girl was by second term, now her birthday was in June. As at second term, she had already started talking. She had started saying words. She had started at least speaking words. Now she was the baby of the class. So the mom had some expectation, and I told her, I'm not going to, because she's talking now, force her to write. I'm not going to put a pencil in her hand just yet. I said, even while she's talking, I want to ensure that she can retain information. I want to ensure that she can distinguish between different sounds, different words that she's hearing, different voices that she can hear. I want to ensure that she can retain. In fact, from where I'm standing, I will tell her, go and do this. I want to ensure that she understands two-way instructions, three-way instructions. She can retain it. Go for it. In fact, I used to time her. It was a very funny thing that I used to do, because my assistant would be like, Miss Tonia, is this one? I'm like, no. I want to see that she retains information and comes back and gives me relevant feedback. And the mom was like, okay, I'm beginning to understand. I wanted that, okay, she will be carrying whiteboard up and down the class, that little child. She will not do anything. I'll be like, okay, you know what, then take chalk. I had to buy a blackboard and I put it in my class. In fact, it was a two-sided blackboard, one for chalk, and then I just covered the back. So if you have a marker, you can use your marker on it too. Just free writing. Now she's in reception class. She's one of the best readers in her class. In fact, she's one of the best readers in her class. Her information retention is, oh my God, like it's top notch. So because we laid that foundation, I always refer our mom that because we laid that foundation early enough, we did not rush. We built our fine motor skills. We built our gross motor skills. The only thing is she was a very neat child. You see all this messy play, she didn't like it. And every child is unique. I did not stop her. She never liked messy play. She always loved ordering stuff, arranging things, putting things, playing with dolls. But if it is messy, she won't do it. But that was okay. But she's one of the best readers in her class now. So I made the mom see reasons. And that's another thing. You just make them see reasons and be convincing enough. In fact, become a lawyer at that moment. Pretend it's a case you're stating for your child. You are the lawyer. Yes. You're the defense lawyer. You're the defense lawyer. Your child, the parent is the judge. Your child is what's it called? Um, Whatever they call them. Yeah, and you're stating a case for your pupil, because I always tell every parent, I said, you're not my business per se. Your child is my utmost business. If you want your child to write 1 to 500 and your child is not ready, I apologize. I will not force it, but I will try my best to challenge your child. What I will do is expose your child to as much as I can. That's another thing. We don't like to expose a 2-year-olds, let them see the numbers 1 to 100. Let them decide themselves that they are not ready to learn it. Do you understand? I encourage play-based learning, but I expose my children to. There was a school I worked in, right? And we were not doing letter sounds. We started doing set 1 of Johnny Phonics at third term. But guess what? Before then, I had exposed my children to so much letters that by third term, we had, because they will, children usually go through this phase of, what's this? They will start with, yes, they're always asking you questions. What's this? What is this? So while they are what's dissing me, I am giving them the answers. I'm telling them this is, and then we are talking, I'm saying this is a snake. I am drawing it, I'm saying it. So they already learned, they had mastered beginning sounds already without even seeing the letters. So I could tell a child, hey, Jay, bird. What's the beginning sound in bird? As in, honestly, it was amazing when I was doing it because, sometimes you try out some things and you do not realize it will work until it starts to work. So before even seeing the letters, they knew how to distinguish between the sounds. They will tell you the beginning sound of a letter, of their names, of anything, even though we had not yet taught them the letter per se. By the time they started learning the letters, they're like, oh, they were able to connect the information. So expose your pupils to as much. Yes, that also keeps the parents' minds at rest. So I tell parents, I'm going to expose your child to as much information as I can. It is up to them too. It's up to them to let me know what information they want to retain. I will expose them. I will challenge your child. But in as much as I'm going to do, the focus is on holistic development. If your child knows 1 to 500 and your child has a temper, I'm sorry, they've not learned anything. If your child knows 1 to 1 million and cannot speak for themselves, they cannot do anything for themselves. I had a child who could read everything and anything, but when it came to doing his work, he would wait for you to come. You literally have to prompt him every step of the way. Okay, pick up your spoon. Okay, put it in your food. Okay, put it in your mouth, because he got used to, he was so dependent. He was solely dependent on every adult around him. But this boy was brilliant academically. So for me, that's not, learning has not taken place. Yeah, learning has not taken place. So when having conversations with parents, let them see those things. Talk about their children's strengths. Then talk about areas that their children, need help with. I always start with the strengths. Talk about the areas that the children need help with. And then start to leverage on what you're doing to help that child. A lot of teachers only say, he's not writing 1 to 10. He cannot even hold pencil. I don't know. No. That's not the way. Oh, I understand that you want your child to write 1 to 500. However, I noticed that so and so child is still learning to do this. Now, I know the goal for you. This is what you want, but then we have to work with his strengths and also help him work on his weaknesses. We are using his strengths to amplify. We're amplifying his strengths, and using it to work on the areas that he's struggling with. So to be able to get there, see, and there's one thing I learned it from one of my mentors, one of the teachers I work with, Mrs. Akintimeyi. I'm sure you know her. I worked with her. Yeah. She always tells every parent that we do PTC for, this was her mantra. Mommy, daddy, every child who writes 1 to 1 million. It's only the time that differs. You see that statement? I carry it everywhere I go.
I love that.
Like she said,
eventually.
That's alone. You see that parent will just be like, true, shall. Because you just go, mommy, every child will write 1 to 1 million. No, it's just when they will write it that is different. They will get there. That place. That's the beauty of the unique child in the principles of the EYFS. Every child is unique, but they can be confident. They can be competent. They can be this. So that means they cannot achieve ego, but they will achieve it at different pace, at a different pace. But will they get to the finish line? They will get there. So you see that information that we know. Now we have to be able to convince the parents so that we are all on the same page. So yeah.
Yes. This is fantastic. I love that. As a teacher, it is important that they understand the priority, because if you want to sell all of these to a parent and you don't understand
what you need to know it first.
then they keep coming to tell you, do this, do that, and you feel like, okay, I need to go this direction, I need to go this direction. I think it is important that people understand, like you have said, because it is not just about academics, it is about the holistic development. And I think if every teacher has this information, we won't have situations of teachers who are hitting children to write or hitting children to read, because they will understand that each child is unique in his or her own way. How can we support this child in the areas? And I like that you mentioned that it is not just about limiting every child, or a child who is also able to write to 500 is also unique in his own way. Maybe if his peers are writing 1 to 10 and 500, he is unique. And I like that you have said, don't limit the child. Continue to expose them, continue to support them in their different ways. That is fantastic. So another scenario I had, it's also part of the challenges that teachers face. So aside the fact of having issues with parents, there is also the school. I have been to a school where we're talking about playtime, and the school owner said they don't have time to play. They have to work, they have work to do. And I was trying to explain that, no, the children need to have a break, She said, no, they'll play when they get home. Because when they are in school, there is so much to do. They need to do 10 units. They need to do this and that. So we're trying to work around reviewing the curriculum and all of that. And that was when we had this conversation. So I'm also looking at a teacher who is in that kind of school, who understands that my children need to have this free time before one activity, and then the school owner is coming to say they don't have time to play. They will play at home. So for that school leader, it's all about academics. So if I'm asking my children to explore the classroom, they see it as you wasting time. How can we help? Because it's hard to convince the owner of the school that you're trying to make a change when you're just really a one man standing, or it's about 2 or 3 in that crowd.
Okay, so firstly, what I would say is let me just be let me just be honest, right? During your interview as a teacher, these are the questions that you should ask, right? Because this is why I say it. I can't work in a place that our what's it called doesn't align. It's okay to have your vision for your school, but if it does not align with mine, our principles, that's the English I'm looking for. If our principles do not align as to our principles regarding education, if it doesn't align, I can't stay there. I would rather not be there. I believe that there are schools here whose principles are, I know a lot on this island that no, if I were to work there, I know that we would really, really vibe. Do you understand? So I'd rather not, I'm sorry, I would rather not be in a place that our principles do not align. That's me personally. Now, let me advise somebody who has found themselves in that kind of situation, right? So this is what I would advise. Yeah, because I'm just being honest. I can't stay in a place. This is not about money. I always tell teachers that, you see, if you're looking at monetary value, you can't get it as a teacher in the classroom. Your worth, you can't get it. So that one is not even about money. I just don't like being in a space where I'm doing the wrong thing. And I know what I'm doing is wrong. I know I can do the right thing. So I'd rather not just be there. I'd rather just excuse myself. Yeah. So now let me advise a teacher who has found themselves in that situation. So this was something I did in a school that I worked in like that, right? So what I did was the Friday of that week, every Friday of that week, sorry, we don't do anything academic. We chug all the academic work. So Monday to Thursday.
Right.
And then Friday, we use it for activity-based activities, play. But one thing that, it's due a lot of, what's it called? So even in that break, so another thing I used to do was I usually take my learning outside. Shebi, you want to see them learn, Abby? Is learning. Shebi has seen us doing Sekuta. Let me use Shebi. We are doing Sekuta, we are just doing it outside. I carry table and chair, I carry it outside. Oh, you're coming. Oh, why you do? we are mixing red and yellow today. I always have answers for you. I would always have answers, so either you close up a particular day and use it for what you really want to, or in your lesson, do what you want to do, the right thing, and then give them their 5% of what's it called, of the academics. For example, when children come in the morning in the school where I was teaching 5-year-olds, in the mornings, I usually give them their book that, oh, okay, you know what? You're supposed to do this page, oh, you guys. But then I actually used to gist with my children, like I'm like, you guys, you're supposed to do this in your math, mommy and daddy will want to see your book, and this is what we have planned for today, right? So I would always say, okay, you know what? Let's just do 1 page or 2 pages today, and then we'll go about our usual day. That's another thing that works. It could work for you too. I don't know. Do you understand? So in the classroom there, we are doing, maybe the lesson is about letter sound S, letter S, and we do an activity. The last thing that we'll do, just for you people, so that you people get off our backs, is we'll help you write inside. No problem.
Do
We
the
always
worksheet
give,
or whatever writing.
yeah, easy not to write. Evidence of writing, that's what you want. We'll give it to you and we'll mark. In fact, the children knew, so I would already arrange their books on the table. I'm just, okay, go and pick your own, because they had learned to identify their names. Just pick your own. Let's just do 1 page as you're doing it. Or sometimes I would merge the tables together. I would sit down and I'm like, okay, these are the books, or maybe 2 books. I'm like, okay, when you're done, come on, I'll mark it for you. When you're done, there's an activity waiting for you. Oh, play away. Like, enjoy yourself. So that was another way that I did it that worked for me. It can work for you, but it's not Tonia that told you. It's just advice and advice. So you can either block out a day, yeah, for those things, or look for pockets of time, fixing those things that you want. Learning doesn't really take 1 hour. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes for learning to happen. So yeah, just little pockets of time, just, pitch it in. Can work.
Okay, fantastic. I think that's an excellent idea, so that they don't think that because my school doesn't allow it, that is the end. There are so many ways you can go about it. Have your activities during your lesson. Ensure that in one way or another, the children get to have creative activities. I think that is fantastic. So on a final note, I would say because I'm not going to, I would have asked that you share with us a few tips on how teachers can integrate the principles of the unique child into their daily teaching. But I won't. I will let them register for the play workshop. I know the play workshop is coming up soon, so I'll let you talk about the play workshop. So if teachers who are looking to learn about how to support the children, how can I infuse activities, because now I'm learning a bit more than what I used to know, because I always say that we have teachers who don't know better. I was once in that phase where I just knew that learning had to take place. So I'll just everybody had to do the same thing. Everybody had to move at the same pace. But when I knew better, I started to do better. So we're now in that phase where we're also educating others. So I know the play workshop is also a good avenue for teachers to learn about play-based learning and how to infuse it into their daily teaching. So I'll just give you a few minutes to talk about it. What can we get from the play workshop?
Okay, so this year it's actually going to be much more different, and it's going to be deeper. So it will be a lot. So when you register for this play workshop, right? We're even rebranding the name as well. But when you register for it, you're going to be learning about the early years pedagogy. And so you're going to be learning about different early years framework, right? So I know we talk about EYFS laws here. There's a lot more to it than EYFS and Montessori. You're going to learn about the principles of early childhood education itself. Then we'll now start coming down to play-based learning, how you can infuse it in your classroom. And the reason amazing that you register is because I have been there. I've worked in the traditional school and I still made it work. And you can too. So that even makes it all the better. So we are doing a whole lot of that. You can come up with resources as well. You don't need to break the bank. In fact, I'm the queen. I'm a collector. I collect anything from anywhere. Like I'm a collector. I collect a lot of, they call it panda, in Yoruba, but yeah, and make it work, how to make it come alive in your classroom. Even before the play workshop, we have the press play do steam, which is a physical, training on how to, in fact, yeah, you're coming to experience what your children should be experiencing in the classroom. The world is evolving and we should evolve along with it. If not, we'll just be left behind. Yeah. So, and the play workshop is in August. It's in August, so yeah.
I think I meant to say press play do steam. Somehow I was thinking the play workshop was coming soon.
Okay, yes,
So
no,
it's
it's the press play do steam.
that is coming in February, and then the play workshop is much
Yes.
later. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot to
Yes.
learn. But thank you
There's a
so
whole lot,
much.
yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
coming
having me.
on. It's been an
Thank you so
amazing,
much.
amazing time with you, and we look forward to a lot more that you have to share with us and those who still have a lot to learn. Because we know there are teachers who genuinely want to learn, and we hope that this will help them to make better decisions for their children, and also to be able to support the uniqueness of every child in their classroom. Do you have any final words you want to share?
Nothing really, just, keep doing what you're doing. Earlier, well done, everybody. Keep doing what you're doing. Always remember that the child is the focus. Everything that you're doing, the child comes first. The child and every other thing is secondary. The child is our primary focus. So if the child is not getting it, then nothing is happening. Then we need to, revisit whatever it is we are doing. So the child is the focus.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been nice having you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very
Have
much.
a wonderful
All right.
one.
And you too.